Hello, my name is Anton, and I'm building my road to financial freedom. And this is week 3 of my journey. I want to start off sharing my thoughts on the recent book that I read called The Millionaire Fastlane. I found this book in one of the Ali videos, and after I read it, I can't say it was completely mind changing. The idea that's shared in this book is something that I couldn't explain to myself how certain things work, for example, like job security. I had an understanding why job security doesn't work, but I didn't have like the formula that the author shares in this book why job security or the slow lane doesn't really work and why most of the people should choose the fast lane. There are definitely more insights that you can find in this book for yourself, maybe even life changing insights. And I definitely recommend you to check it out. And it's one of the books that gave me the fuel to move on my journey. One more thing I want to share is that I visited my first networking event in Chicago, and I can't say I really liked it. It's definitely was a new experience for me. I I can't say I really enjoyed it because it was in a bar and it was quite crowded. I had a chance to connect only with 3 or 4 people, but there was about 70 people, 4 groups. I don't really understand why the hosts decided to like bring 4 different groups of people. So there was like professionals, tech and IT, young professionals, tech and IT, women entrepreneurs, and just entrepreneurs, like women in business, and all of these 4 groups, in my mind, it doesn't work. And yeah, as I said, I had a chance to meet only 4 people. I wanted to meet more, but I just after 2 people, I just didn't have enough energy to come to new people, and that's definitely an issue for me because I don't like crowded places. I like more cozy environment where everybody had a chance to talk to each other, to meet the whole group instead of talking to 2 or 3 people the whole event. So I think I'll try to find more relevant events for myself. But as I said, the networking events that have a lot of people, it was like there was 70 people, but I imagine there are events like that host 200, 300 people, and I don't really get how people are able to connect on these type of events because for me it's really complicated to come and talk to each person and repeat 200 times what I'm doing, who am I. This is kind of frustration that I have right now, but I'm sure there is some solution to this. I tried to search for speed networking events, and I like the concept of speed networking events. You have a chance to talk to all of the people in the group, whether it's group events, whether it's one-on-one speed networking. I believe that's the type of event I want to visit, but unfortunately, I didn't find any events in Chicago, speed networking events in Chicago, and that's kind of bring me some insights of what I might be doing in the future. One more update from the last week is I reached out to Canadian board game retail shop. Why I did it is because I had an idea of renting board games, and when I searched for it in Chicago, there was none. But then when I removed the Chicago keyword from the Google search, one of the first links was this Canadian retail shop. But then I found their Instagram and decided why I don't just reach out to them, like type the message, hello, I have an idea of having something similar to your business model here in Chicago. Would you have time to meet me in Google Meeting or on the phone? And yeah, that's basically what I did. So after I dropped them a message, I didn't have a response for about 3 or 4 days. By the end of the week, they responded me and they said, "Hey, nice to meet you, and yeah, we would love to talk with you." So we scheduled a call with, I believe it was the founder or one of the founders of this board game to go company. Yeah, we had a call on FaceTime because he's from Canada, I'm from Chicago. So we had a chat about for 40 or 50 minutes. He explained mostly, almost in details, what their business model, why they stand out from the board game coffee shops, and all of kind of insights. He said what are they looking for, what their team looking for, and they were looking for a partner here in Chicago. And he also asked me how much money I'm able or willing to invest in this. From the first words about the partner and all of this kind of collaboration, I understood that this guy might want to do a franchise here in the US. So he wanted to expand his kind of business model over to the US, and I almost instantly got that that's not what I want to do, but I can just drop a call and that's it. So I kept chatting with him, and yeah, he asked how much money I'm willing to invest. As I understood it correctly, $10,000 is not enough for their business model to thrive, because as he explained, why the reason why they stand out from all of these coffee shops is that they have more board games than the coffee shops can give to the customers. So, for example, if the coffee shop has 200 games, their shop has 600 games. They keep growing this amount of board games in their inventory. So, right now they have 2,400 games comparing to the same 200 games of the coffee shop. So that's the catch. That's how they make sure that their customers come back and try out new games, rent them, then buy. Their business model just keeps growing and improving. They also have the mobile application. It's like homemade mobile application. They have a team of two engineers who work on the website and on the mobile application, and that's kind of their business model. After a few days from our chat with the owner of the board game to go, I dropped a follow-up email with something like, "Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insights about your business model, about your company." And these insights were really useful because I genuinely thought that this type of business, the boarding game rental, is a piece of cake. But after chatting with the person who built this all from scratch and was consistent for 6 or 7 years, if I'm not mistaken, that's really useful experience for me to understand that if something looks simple, under the hood it's not that simple. So just be aware, and if you genuinely want to learn how certain company or how certain business works, just don't be afraid to reach out to their socials or drop a message to their email or whatever. Make everything to learn how their business work, because this is priceless experience to learn from the owners of such kind of business, how they made it, what are they doing that nobody else does. So just keep in mind to be open for new opportunities, to reach out to these opportunities, and just don't be afraid to take an action. For this week, I don't have a lot of ideas. There are only four of them, and this is kind of frustrating that my business engine doesn't work, but it doesn't mean that it's completely bad. It just means that I don't have new experience. I don't speak with other people, I don't learn about the world in general. So if you feel the same, just try to be exposed to the society, just go for a walk, like try to learn something new, meet new people, learn about their frustrations, about their problems, and eventually you will have this flow of the not business ideas but of the things that you can work on, things that you can help people to, I don't know, solve their problems, as simple as that. The first idea is AI for code reviews. I honestly didn't make any research if there is already an existing tool for this problem, but about the problem. I do code reviews every day, and sometimes I see the same issues from the same developers, maybe not the same developers, but I see the same, I don't know, best practice issues or some linting issues. For example, someone didn't use the prettier and all of this sort of stuff. And it doesn't really frustrate me, but it just kind of annoying to repeat all of these comments and over again. And I thought it would be nice to have the tool that would filter out all of these small issues and leave comments for you instead of you reviewing, like, sometimes it's 2000 lines of code review, and track down all of these minor issues with best practices or issues with linting, all of this sort of stuff. It's really impossible to do because when you review the 2000 lines of the code, you focus on more important pieces of code rather than small issues. But by the end of the day, they also matter to in order to keep your code base consistent, clear. I think there are definitely some AI tools to do code reviews for you, but it's just a matter to research it. If there is no such solution, then this is an opportunity to build some AI to review thousands of lines of code. The next idea came after I read the Millionaire Fastlane book. One of the ideas or concepts that author shares in this book is that you sell your time for money, and if you have any debt, this type of exchange is extremely not unfair, but it's extremely harmful to you personally, to your time. So, for example, if you want to buy a 30,000 or 40,000 car, you should really think about it if you want to do it, and especially if you want to do it in debt. So, for example, if you make 40 grand a year and you're buying a 40 grand car, that's kind of not the best exchange you want to do. Even though if you get a loan on this car, eventually you trade even more your time to get this car. So you trade, let's say, 2 years of your life to get this car. And the idea after I learned this concept inside is to build an application in which you can type how much money you want to spend, and based on your hourly rate or yearly income that you set up in the settings of the application, you will get how much time you should work or how much time you will exchange for this kind of purchase. And this kind of application is nothing more but to keep yourself in the present and don't take that everything is around you for granted, because eventually you sell your time, and you should be mindful when you buy certain things. Just keep in mind that eventually you sell your time. You don't exchange money for an item. You exchange your time, the time you have worked on your job, the time and of your emotional part. So basically, all your effort that you put to get these papers. I don't know how to call them to get this kind of item. So just keep in mind that money is nothing, but your time is priceless. Next idea is a combination of things that I like and things that I want to do, and it is board games plus networking. I believe on networking events, especially the big ones, it's hard to meet new people, as I explained earlier, because there are a lot of people. It's hard to, to exit the conversation because you don't want to break the, let's say, bound with the person you have a chat. Otherwise, you might look a bit rude. And it would be nice if networking events would have these board games to use, or basically the hosts would split people on groups and provide them with a selection of board games. And while playing these board games, they would have a nice connection. They would be able to learn more about each other. Meanwhile, they're in the process of, I don't know, playing the game. And this type of events that I would personally visit every time there is, I don't know, this networking event happens. The last idea is based on my kind of laziness. Right now, I read quite a lot of books, and I make notes for each book on this piece of paper. You can buy them on Amazon. And the thing is, when I start to read the book or when I continue to read the book, so basically, whenever I pick up the book, I pick up all these notes, I pick up the pen, I pick up the highlighters, and for me, it's kind of hard to move around with all of this block of stuff. So the book, the, I don't know, 10 or 20 these kind of pieces, the highlighters, the pens, so it just becomes the big chunk of stuff in my hands. And for example, if it's evening time, I finish my job, and I go to bed, and I need to carry everything with me. Then when I wake up, I need to carry everything back, and it's not really a pain point. It doesn't bother me, but this is kind of stuff that I would want to optimize. And I thought book covers with pockets for notes, for this kind of notes, maybe even with pockets for pens or the highlighters would be really nice to have. I found some product on Amazon, but they don't really look like the, I don't know, premium quality or just normal quality. They look quite kind of cheap. I might order some, I don't know, sample. The book cover would be really useful. It might be the, I don't know, kind of all sizes book cover. So you basically, like, I don't know, input your book, clip on either on the inside or on the outside. You would have all of these pockets for notes, for pens, for highlighters, and then it's just being everything in one place. And what you need to do, just pick it up, start to read it, or just pick it up, pack it in your, I don't know, camping bag or suitcase, whatever, and just carry it with you. That's it for the ideas for this week, but I also want to share one of the simple projects that I've built based on the Millionaire Fastlane book learnings. And the website is called CanIAfford.info. The primary goal of this website is to determine whether you can afford a purchase or not. So, as I earlier mentioned, buying car in debt is really not a good idea. Buying something in affirm, so something that you cannot afford with a single cash purchase, is not a good idea. So, for example, you want to buy a $30,000 car, and you don't have cash for this car, and you want to get a loan. The website would give you the answer that you can't afford it. On the other hand, if you have cash for this car, why don't you buy it for cash and just remove all of this interest that you would pay over the 5 or I don't know 6 years of the loan. And if you input that you have cash for this car, and this purchase, for example, the cost of car is 30 grand, and you have 30 grand of cash, and let's say you have 200 grand of savings, and if you spend this 30 thousands on the car, your life wouldn't change much, right? You would still have some savings in your bank account. So buying a car with the cash is not the kind of purchase that would jeopardize your financial situation. So I think this kind of website is just a reminder that some things we cannot afford and some things we can afford. And when people say they buy a car, and by that they mean they get car on a loan, on the 5 year or 6 year loan, they just use the wrong dictionary, I believe. And to be honest, I also used the wrong dictionary when I was saying that I bought a car or I bought some, I don't know, some stuff in debt. And right now I realize it that if you get something in debt, you don't buy it. You just, I don't know, you just get it or you take a loan on this stuff. So that's kind of a reminder to use the proper dictionary when you communicate with people. And that's it for this week. A few more learnings from the Millionaire Fastlane book is that focus on solving problems, do not focus on getting money. And if you affect millions, you will earn millions. Thank you for watching and see you soon.